Ahoy out there, and thanks for the visit. We had a little fire wizard with the brilliant idea to seek out an Inquisitor to get her help against a demonic entity running around in Nuln. And it turns out this was not the fire wizard's best idea in this role-playing session. We are not yet so sure she survived. We will see this next week. I don't know whether you are interested in the outcome. Well, but the scene was worth drawing it. I do this a lot. I like this very much. Getting inspired by our role game sessions and putting some of those scenes into little drawings. So here I am with my first try on making a time-lapse video about this. And here we go. So I was sitting in front of this empty piece of paper, trying to figure out where to put whom. And you see the setup, the Inquisitor in the middle and the Fire Wizard in front, sitting on a chair in chains, flanked by two guards. And I did a very rough pencil sketch to know where everybody is located and to have an idea about the size of the persons, about their heads and where their faces are and how they are standing in the picture. And this was a very rough sketch, not many details in there. I was hoping to get those details done on the fly. This is usually the way I go. I don't like doing very detailed sketches and then filling them out with ink. I'm more like an explorer. And looking how things turn out, you will see not everything is turning out perfectly. For example, the fire wizard's right foot under this chair is not looking well in the moment, and I think this won't matter that much in a finished piece. At some points in this video I will return to normal speed to point out certain stuff. For example, I used a card in this case to make the spear this guard is holding in sort of a straight line. I still like to draw this freehand, not using a ruler on the ink. I think this is better fitting in this sort of sketchy art. The spear tips are probably not very historical accurate or Warhammer-like, but it's working. As now I'm fleshing out the guards, I realized this chain coming from the left side of the wizard to the left standing guard is coming in a weird angle. I don't care at that point. I tried to fix it a little bit with wrapping the chain around the guard's right arm. But this will remain a weird point in the drawing, I think. I just paused to check out how the hand is going around the spear. The left guard is holding in his left hand. First I tried it with my wrong right hand. Thankfully it's just a small detail sort of hidden behind the sword, so won't be that important in the whole thing. About this drawing style of mine, this not very accurate thing, sketchy lines, this is sort of my favorite style. I'm not sure I can do it otherwise in another fashion very well. I remember I had a professor during university. I had studied interior design, and drawing sessions were a part of it. And I showed this professor some different drawings, and his favorite, he said, was this kind of drawing, this not so accurate, sketchy lines coming out of the wrist, so to say, while trying to be perfect with my lines. They generated not so cool results. So I sort of stuck with it, and also this goes quite fast for such kind of drawings. This took me around an hour to sketch it and to ink it. At this point, I had envisioned that the background is very dark, or will be very dark, and only the center background behind the figures will be seen. That's why I did only a bit of this bookshelves and not the whole wall back there. And at that point, the ink went dry from this pen. It's a Rotring art pen, quite old. I think I bought it in the 80s, the late 80s. But it was time to pick up the thicker inker anyways. I use the thicker line to highlight the shadowy lines away from the light. The light is coming from the top right. I will put in there some eerie violet light shining later on. So I'm highlighting with the thick pencil all the lines on the other side of the light, to the left and down. Man, I just realized how difficult it is to comment your own video. I guess this comes over to you quite clumsy, but maybe I'll improve. Let's hope for the best. Time to erase the pencil thingy. And when that's done, I will scan it and commands to coloring it digitally. At this point, I realized the left arm of the left guard is a bit too long. The hand should be located a little bit more up, which I had to correct a second time. Yeah, this looks old. Samsung printer experience. Cool. It's not a very high sophisticated system. And an old copy machine, but it can scan. First I'm piecing together the two sides. This is an DIN A4 scanner. So I had to separate the A3 piece and scan it on 2 times, reducing opacity of one of the layers and trying to place them above the other. It's not 100% at the same spot, but again, this sort of drawing allows to be inaccurate at sometimes. Cleaning the whole thing from pencil stuff, getting the saturation of the blue ink out there a bit, adjusting the size of the picture. And starting with background color. This sets the tone of this dimly lit chamber. And then the first thing I do always is to mark the foreground. In this case, the 2 guards and the fire wizard girl on her chair. I pick sort of fitting color. In this case, this orange was my choice. For a long time, it will look like this orange is not quite fitting into the whole thing. But at the end, hopefully it will. The fire wizard will bring a little bit of her fire into the room, coming from behind her, while from the other side, and the eerie violet lighting you will see later will be the Inquisitor side of lighting. So maybe this, or hopefully this orange will make some sense later on. I do this with 100% opacity, so I can select the whole foreground later and widely paint in it without leaving its borders. And so I can do whatever I want in the background and they won't get in the way of each other. Here I realized I painted on the wrong layer. So I need to do this again for the wizard. She's a very young wizard, impulsive, naive too, but she survived for about 2 years in the story where we are now. Small corrections for her mouth and chin. Not doing a lot of those corrections in this drawing. Filling in the darker shadows of the room. This dark brown is my black, so to say. And so I'm filling out the shadows. I will add this darkness to the foreground figures in a short while. For the moment, I'm using it to sketch out the other things in the room where the light doesn't reach. I think this is a quite important step to flesh out the room. Light and shadows are important. Adding the first shadows to the guards, to the figures in the foreground. This is not fitting good enough. I will correct this later. But it's a start. Adding shadows to the background. I'm doing this with the mouse, by the way, not with a tablet and a pen for the moment, because I'm just too lazy. And this sort of stuff works with mouse only. Yep. Ah, here comes the ominous light. I envisioned coming from the right top of the picture. While we don't see where it's coming from, it's just there. I think in Warhammer, the violet color sort of always stands for chaos, the dark side of this world. And this is what's lurking within the wizard herself. And this is what the Inquisitor is looking for, of course. This particular Inquisitor hates every spellcaster. If I, as the wizard, had known this, I probably would have not chosen to go there and ask for her help, but I didn't. And I thought there was so much at stake at the city with this demonic entity around that there was a good chance that even a hateful Inquisitor who despises, of course, wizards would maybe help for the greater good. fetching some of the violet light into the foreground figures. Using GIMP, by the way, because it's free of charge. For doing this hobby style thingies, I don't like to afford Photoshop. Sorry to say. Next time I probably should take care that what you see is not so much jumping in different focus. So you have a calmer viewing experience. This was the fire the wizard was bringing with her. Putting in some more of the violet light. Violet light. And that will be around it. So this coloring took another 70 minutes or so, which makes around 2 hours, all in all, 2.5 for this. This is cool. I think it's okay. It's just for me and my friends, and now for you if you like to watch. And as I'm keeping playing, there will be some more, I guess. As I said, this is fun. This is my hobby. This is my passion, to go into these scenes and have some of those pictures to remember what we've played. So thanks for watching. See you next time. And of course, please comment what I should improve for the next one, for number 2. See you. Bye bye.